1,380. And we still do not have our son's remains. We have double breaking news and very, very serious breaking news. Let me make sure that I'm on Facebook, that everyone can see that everything is working. Okay. See if everyone can come on. Okay, the first breaking news. Pull up my notes because I'm really shaken up by what is going on. Okay, happy Saturday, right? Happy Saturday. The first thing that everyone needs to know, breaking news, is that General Counsel Eric Cohen seems to have been relieved from duty as the General Counsel to in the Department of State in Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico. This is huge breaking news for us because, you know, we were in communication with him. This is a big case because it involves the illegal El Paso Chief Medical Examiner, Mario A. Rascon Ortiz. Like I said, I'm shaken up right now because he's illegal, and we have questions that need and documents that need to be confirmed, and also that he was double dipping as a medical examiner in this SEMIFO. I hope I'm saying that right. In Juarez, and partial remains of our son were found in Mexico. This is a very big deal. And, you know, Veronica Escobar is dirty in all of this, y'all. She's so dirty. She has so many conflicts of interest and amongst others. And she was the presiding judge that allowed this travesty to happen, that this conflict of interest, Mario Rascon Ortiz was allowed to get this visa provided by Eric Cohen to get this position, this judicial official position, that you have to be an American citizen because you're like a judge, okay? You can call for a jury. You can issue subpoenas and on and on. I've been over it so much. Chief medical examiner, all you have to do is look at the seals of all the chief medical examiners. It is a judicial office, and anyone that holds that office in the state of Texas, according to the Texas Constitution, needs to be an American citizen, of course. Duh. And it has nothing to do with, you know, you can be from wherever, you know, anywhere else in the world, as long as we are a melting pot country, as long as you're an American citizen, right? So this is really important for everyone to know, that the law has been violated for years, and every case, capital murder cases, that Mario Rascon Ortiz has, you know, been the prime witness in, for the cause and manner of death. For the cause and manner of death, everything that he has done, he has botched these cases. It is such a travesty of justice, because this is since 2014, I believe, 2014. And, you know, we were in communication with General Counsel Cohen because our missing person report in Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico, at the Attorney General's Fiscalia there was tampered with. It was majorly tampered with. And we have other intelligence of other things that happened in that office that Cohen was meeting with Carlos Manuel Salas for, all the time. And, and that's also a problem, because there needs to be a state to state representation. You can't have a federal agent meeting with a state agent, right? Officer. You can't, and I don't claim to be a pro at knowing all of this, but I can tell you one thing: it all stinks to high heaven. I can tell you that. They're up to no good. They're up to criminal activities, and it is harming our justice system in the United States, and also for those poor people. And I don't mean poor, we're all poor if we're living under a band of robbers. If we're in a land of no justice, we're just in a land of a band of robbers, of just a criminal network of robbers. And this is, we, alike with the people of Juarez, we understand what's going on. You're suffering so much. Murders are way out of control because you are under a band of robbers, under a criminal network. And so are the people in El Paso. So are the people in El Paso. And this is this is your answer to why bad things happen. Because the people of El Paso, we can't get answers to the murder of our son because we're under a band of thieves, of a criminal network that profits off of crime, profits off of dead people. Because let me tell you, this is all, there's a common denominator here. There's a couple common denominators here in our son's case, and it is eerie. It is eerie. You know what they are? Mortuary affairs. The funeral business. The handling of corpses. The mishandling of corpses. And of course, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church. And I'm not putting those two together. It's just that that's what is the commonality in our son's case amongst the people that are dealing or part of our son's case. It's that I'm just telling you the facts. I'm just telling you the facts. And, this is, there seems to be unscheduled departures quite a bit in our son's case. And that is, of course, Jeff Downey, the FBI director. When he left, we were in total shock because that was an unscheduled departure. The other, of course, Tavita Nusa, Marlon Soto, Dallas Hart, and more and more. And I'll wait until those become totally confirmed, and more, absolutely. So this leads to the next breaking news. And the next breaking news is a whopper. It is such a whopper. Okay, breaking news. Intelligence have informed us that there have been federal plea deals, federal plea agreements made to the murderers of our son Richard Halliday's murder. Did I say that right? There have been, to the murderers of Richard Halliday, the federal government has made plea agreements with those murderers without informing us, without informing the public. Now, if that is not, let me tell you, this is pretty good source, and this is what we will be asking. Tomorrow's Sunday. Tomorrow is Sunday. We have some more letter writing to do. You know, we're getting pretty good at it. At the beginning, you know, it took us a long time. Now we can put out pretty, a few a day. Can you imagine? I want to know what they're going to say, because this is a good source and it's been backed up. But behind the scenes, while they were keeping us fighting just to get the notice of death for years, misleading us, interfering in our life, interfering in our son's case, juggling their criminal balls. But I think they're all falling down. It's kind of like, I should say, criminal. And they're falling down, they're cracking. Because they have committed so many crimes in this. And now we're hearing that behind the scenes, they were making immunity agreements with the murderers of our son. Now, okay, so let's put emotion aside, which I can't do, but let's put the emotion aside. And let's ask this question. If it's a federal immunity deal that they made with the murderers of our son's murder, how do you say that? It doesn't matter. The people that murdered our son were given our intelligence federal immunity deals. Okay? So they know he was murdered, right? We know he was murdered. We all know he was murdered. Come on. We all know that Richard was murdered. You can take one look at the damn permanent GOMAR and know that he was retaliated against. You could take one look at that damn field grade Article 15 and know he was retaliated against. They had no basis and they violated his federal rights left and right. His Bill of Rights left and right. They violated so many laws left and right. You can look, just one glance at Bob Moore's coverage of Richard's story, his interference, his content thievery, and something's up, something's stinky. And you look at these soldiers that were shaken in their boots. You look at the interference upon interference with the CID. with the CID, Tavita Nusa and Leilani Hart. Oh wow, yeah. Marlon Soto. You look at the interference with Jesus Nieto Jr. and his Fort Bliss intelligence wife. Um, you know, now it comes clear why they didn't arrest Leilani, because there was well, I don't know. I can't say it. Seems to be a federal immunity agreement. Could be a federal immunity agreement. Okay. What does this say? Okay, Richard was murdered. We all know it. We all know that he was a whistleblower. We all know that he was retaliated against severely by his own Major General Clem Coward, by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick, all allowed by Patrick Matlock, what is he? Lieutenant General Patrick Matlock. He's still in. And he needs to be brought up on charges. Did he get a federal immunity deal? And, all because we can't have another Vanessa Guillen. These... does the Constitution mean anything to them? Does the rule of law mean anything to them? Does the fear of God mean anything to them? Does our soldiers mean anything to them? I can go on and on. So here we're getting intelligence saying, I know, that federal immunity deals were made. Okay, so what does that mean? Richard was murdered, and that Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss. Okay, that Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss. So now we're getting somewhere, because, this is, this is what, all of our charts, all of our, crumbs have pointed to. That he was forcibly removed from his barracks room. And these tactical move storage units have a play in all this. But, and other, all these other things that we've uncovered. Just bear with me, because can you imagine what we're going through? Can you imagine? Okay. So we know he was forcibly removed because we have soldier testimony on that. We know he was now murdered on Fort Bliss. Now we have another, when we get the answers. Okay, but this is from a good source, and it explains a lot of things. A lack of arrests, a lack of transparency. And it really explains Robert Shook. Robert Shook is another one. Judge Robert Shook had an unscheduled departure. Quick departure as soon as all this came out. Judge Robert Shook, and the other judge, is retired now, Judge Penny Hamilton. So this is not something totally new. We have been saying something has been behind the scenes with these judges, right? With these judges. We've mentioned Judge Penny Hamilton before. We've mentioned over and over again Judge Robert Lee Shook, over and over and over again. And he had an untimely departure, and Penny Hamilton retired. That's an untimely departure to me. I'm just going to put it in that category. So, this corroborates that Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss. But hold on. One thing I do know from going over and over again of the connection with the Walmart case. The Walmart case is dual jurisdiction. So is Richard's case. Richard's case is a capital murder case that happened on Fort Bliss in the state of Texas. It is a dual jurisdiction capital murder case. So, as upsetting as this is because of the betrayal, the absolute betrayal of the lack of communication, the lack of including us in all discussions, the lack of, the maliciousness of letting us suffer. And I know I'm reacting to the point where this is true, right? Because I think 99% it's true. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the source is wrong. But because of all the corroborating information that we have, for tonight, I'm going with it. That it's true. And this case took place in Texas. Thank God. Thank God it took place in Texas. Now, do I want it to even have taken place? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Texas doesn't fool around with capital murder cases. And Bill Hicks has a real problem because we know that he is a usurper in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's office. That office is also null and void. And that our son's case, our son's capital murder case, will not happen in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's office. And let me tell you, whatever you do, you guilty parties, do not get Joe Spencer or Felix Valenzuela or those other attorneys like Justin Underwood. Because Joe Spencer and Felix Valenzuela, they should give every penny back. Because they have let their clients sit in solitary confinement for 5 years. 5 years. Not one scheduling. Not one schedule. They are rotten to the core. Rotten to the core. And all of the families of the victims of the Walmart mass shooting have this go on and on and on, violating their rights to their Bill of Rights to a speedy trial. Now, I know they're not in the 34th Judicial, they're the defense lawyers. Whatever. Do not get them. And I know, they have their in with their LDS lawyer. I know they do. But just think, Patrick Crucius has been sitting in without a mental health examination. His rights have been so violated. Now you can call him a murderer, whatever, but I think there's been something stinky wrong with this whole thing. And he's been let to sit in solitary confinement while these lawyers, that judicial office, sucks in millions of dollars of taxpayers' money to let this just drag on because they have a illegal chief medical examiner. And they have an illegal a usurper. I love that. I love calling him that because that's exactly what he is. When you know through the open records that we have what he did with Justin Underwood, with Bob Moore, to Yvonne Rosales, he's a usurper of the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. And our son's capital murder case, that these murderers do not have an immunity from the state case. They don't have an immunity agreement with the state case. No. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching tonight and burning the midnight oil. And I'm just share all this information. It is so important that we become our own media. Because look at El Paso Matters, ran by their owners, El Paso Community Foundation. They are just absolutely vile. They're fake news. They're absolutely fake news. And Angela Kachurga is fake news. She's an imposter. She is not what she says she is. Matter of fact, well, I'll let it be there. But let me tell you, she's, yeah. And let's just say this. She has made El Paso suffer. Bob Moore has made El Paso suffer. And with that, of course, Fort Bliss and all the service members on Fort Bliss. And with that, all those that live in Juarez, Mexico. Because Juarez and El Paso are Siamese twins. They're connected. They are so connected. And it reaches into New Mexico, of course. And we don't even know. There's the seen and the unseen. And we can understand the seen to a certain point. But there is the unseen. The ramifications that we just have to trust God that He's right. We better follow those 10 commandments, because the ramifications for not doing it is so damaging, is so hurtful. Is so hurtful. And our Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which, I'm having to go back and, when you're not dealing with this day in and day out, you're very rusty with it, and we're not educated properly with it. And so you have to go and get yourself one of those mini Constitution books. Make sure you know your Bill of Rights. Make sure what it stands for, because I'm just a mom. I'm just a wife and a mom. And every mother says, "Where's my child?" And then you have someone that wants to hijack your child, like Bob Moore. He wants to hijack my son's story and twist it and turn it. But you know what? And he wants to hijack my son's picture. My son's death story, my son's picture, and he wants to, and he can't even do it because he's part of Richard's case in a bad way. He's a criminal in Richard's case. But Richard is our son, not his son. He's our son. And he can't have him. And Angela Kacherga, man, what a heart of stone. A black heart of stone. Who knows what she's up to? So, for tonight, I think, breaking news, I'm just going to say it one more time. Seems like they got rid of the general counsel, Eric Cohen, who we were working with. Unscheduled departure, like FBI Director Downey, like Tavita Nusa, like Marlon Soto, like Dallas Hart, like, please help me out, even more. And Judge Robert Shook, that was a real good one. That was a total unscheduled departure. Real quick, get out of town real quick before I have to answer questions about the next breaking news. The federal immunity agreements for the murderers of our son, Richard Halliday. Before he has to answer, he had to get out of town. Before he had to answer questions about the autopsy reports, about his subpoenas. Yeah, that's all coming. That's all coming. And then, of course, Judge Penny Hamilton, she retired. Was that scheduled? I don't know. I don't think so. But what do I know? What do I know? I've known from the very beginning, we've always been right. That this stunk so bad in every which way, and that our son had been retaliated against, that, Clem Coward, it looks like he's in severe continuous retaliation of our son for whistleblowing, the forced removal of him, the torture, the murder, the disrespect of his corpse. Yeah. And now the federal immunity deals, which will not stand to the state capital murder case. And thank God that it's Texas, that injection, that lethal injection. I've never been happier to say it in my life. I never thought I would ever be happy to say it in my life. that lethal injection is on the table. And if you are a participant, you're not immune either from the charges in a capital murder case. So, wow. I think this could, this, I'm just going to keep those thoughts to myself. But anyway, just know that we're going to keep going forward to get the truth. And it's all the little crumbs are coming together. Bless you guys for coming on this late, and thank you so much. Thank you for your prayers. Please continue to pray for us. Send us your love, because there are real demons, vampires, criminal networks out there. And but you know what? Christ is just all powerful, and his hand has been on this from the beginning, and we shall be thankful and faithful that the unseen results in justice. We might not understand it. We might not know how we're going to get there, but it's going to happen. And so thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.